Okay, so we've already looked at folder tracks and putting groups of instruments together into folders, such as this one for synths and this one for the breakdown section later in the song, and we made one for bass. So the next logical step would be to add group channel tracks. It would also be very helpful if, say, for this group or this layer of bass instruments, we could have one volume control that turned up that whole group of sounds as one. So, same way we added a folder track, which was to right click in column 2, which brings up the add track dialog. This time I'm going to choose add group channel track. Okay, it's going to be a stereo by default. I'm just going to add one for now. And by default it puts them down at the bottom, so if you're wondering where they are, that's it. So I'm going to leave it at the bottom for now, and I'm going to call my first group of tracks the bass group. Okay, now I'm going to go up to all the sounds that are within this bass folder, such as the choir, and what I'd like to do is to send them before they go to the master output to the bass group. So just for a minute I'm going to demonstrate something up here on the audio channel of the original. So just a quick listen to that. Okay, with an audio channel it's quite easy to send them to a group. You just go across to the track's name, click on it once there, and you'll have an input for the track, which is normally the microphone you've used or the sound card input, and an output. And the output goes straight to the stereo output, which is normally the left and the right of your sound card or your headphones, speakers, whatever. But now we've added a group channel, the bass group, we've also got an extra option to send it to the bass group, which is a fader. So if I just demonstrate that one, if I open up the mixer, we see at the end of the mixer we now have this bass group, and if I play back the original track, you can see as I turn down the group it also turns down the original. So it's possible to send more than one instrument to a group, therefore you get one volume control for the whole group. You also get the added advantage that you can add things like inserts or sends or equalizers across the whole group of things or the layers of the sound. So it's a little bit more difficult to do this with an instrument track. As I said, with audio it's simple. You go across to the inputs and outputs for the track and you just send the output to the group. Okay, I'll set that back to normal, to the stereo out. Okay, for an instrument channel, slightly different. So if I go first of all to the bass choir, we need to open up the Vst Edit Page for the bass choir. So one way to do it is to click either here on this E for edit button or up here next to the name, the edit button there. So this gives you everything on one page. So we've looked at this before for things like EQ. You've got your inserts on the left, the EQ in the middle, your sends on the right, and these are exactly the same as the sends that you get on the left hand side there. And finally over on the right hand side we've got this option by the fader. We've got the actual output for the volume for this particular instrument track. So at the moment this is being sent to stereo out, same as we saw with the audio file before. Remember, this isn't audio. What we're dealing with here is a MIDI track, which is same as an instrument track, so this is denoted by the green symbol here, and they're slightly different because they're playing back samples or MIDI based sounds. So it's one of the strange anomalies of Cubase, but you have to go into the edit page to be able to get this. Okay, so now it does give me an option of sending to the group. So rather than have to close this window and then open up the edit page for each of them, if I use the left and the right arrows on the numeric keypad, I can actually go through to each of the tracks going down the list to the right. So I can now choose for the bass piano to send that to the group, scroll along to the bass synth, send that to the group as well, and finally the bass sound, send that to the group. So now if I go back to my mixer with F3, as I press play, I can solo the group, which is all my bass sounds, and I can turn all of them down with one fader. So if I wanted to put an insert on there, I could do that as well by clicking on the edit page, and I could put delays or compressors or something like an EQ on there, and I can make all sorts of changes to the whole group of sounds in one go, which is handy. Okay, so you can go through and do that for all the relevant tracks.